Well, guys, we're in sad times right now. It's unfortunate that these things have to transpire and happen, but you know what? We have to power through and push through. But unfortunately, the New York Knicks made the Eastern Conference Finals
I had to sneeze so bad, but it went away.
because
What?
the Knicks just filled you with joy. Now
I was literally preparing to sneeze during that monologue, and it went away. I'm okay. Oof.
But yeah, unfortunate times.
Such a hater.
Look, I'm a Nets fan. What do you want me to do?
Listen,
Like,
I'm gonna be out tomorrow watching the game.
I thought the game was tonight.
No, it's tomorrow.
Oh wait, the sneeze is coming
Oh,
back. I'm going to River and Henley to watch the game. Stop.
sorry.
Literally.
It's Western Conference Finals tonight.
Yes.
Thunder versus Timberwolves.
Oh,
We literally told you this yesterday.
Now, which series
Yeah.
are you going to be more interested in watching?
The Western Conference Finals.
Western Conference.
I'm glued to the I'm glued to the East.
I don't enjoy watching the Knicks play basketball.
Why?
So I don't like the way they play. That's just my personal thing. There's
There
the
it
sneeze.
is.
Bless
That was
you.
a fake sneeze, bro.
Yeah, I don't enjoy watching them play. If I watch the game, it's purely to watch the Indiana Pacers.
Dude,
So
I'm gonna be locked into the game tomorrow
I think both games are going to be. I mean, both series are going to be so. good.
with a bunch of Knicks fans. Tyler should come.
why would I want to go?
That's his home.
You know, I've been hearing rumors. Russ to the Knicks.
Nope.
No, it's Russ to the Nets that you're hearing rumors for.
Nah,
Yeah.
I heard.
You know what I heard?
I have an inside
The
source.
real rumor is Russ to Guangdong Tigers.
Yeah.
Ni hao.
You're-
Ni hao.
You're actually canceled, buddy.
Actually canceled.
Ni hao.
But obviously, as you guys can tell by the title and thumbnail, it's conference finals time. We have the final 4 teams in the NBA left. So what we're going to do is we're going to rank our top 20 players that are basically left in the NBA playoffs from all 4 teams. And you'll basically get the inside scoop of who we think is, the best / most impactful players kind of going forward. Who's been on their best game from the start of the playoffs to now, and all that stuff. But it's episode 58. Tyler, Ant, Gio back in the stew. Lads, how are we doing?
We vibing, bro. I was dead yesterday, but I'm alive today. Let's go.
We appreciate y'all for joining the live stream. We obviously did our conference finals predictions. So if you guys want to go check out what we said and what we picked, go check it out. Link down below. And Gio, I think now's the perfect time. Who's our G of the week?
G of the week is clearly Alex's. I'm gonna have to pick 2 this
That's
time
fine.
because both of them were just awesome last night. So both Alex's, you are my G of the week. Shout out to you guys.
We
Gs.
were missing Caleb, but he
Yeah.
didn't show up yesterday.
It's okay.
It's okay. But yeah, if you guys want to check us out on stream, we're live every Monday night. The time can vary every now and then. So,
Yeah.
just be on the lookout for that. If you guys do enjoy today's episode, be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel. Get us to 6K by the end of the NBA Finals, which is about like a month and a half from now, give or take. If you're on Spotify audio platforms, give us 5 stars, answer the polls, leave a review, all that stuff. Follow our socials down in the description below. Our personal ones are right here on the screen. Get Gio to 1 million Instagram followers. Obviously, we're going to do our first 45 minutes to an hour-ish of, NBA news coverage and anything that's gone on in the league across the past, week-ish. And boys, do we have anything else to say before we dive straight into the show?
I'm ready to dive, bro.
Let's go.
Into the first segment we go. We're going to start things off with some news that's kind of transpired more over the past few days. Obviously, it's regarding the NBA draft. We saw the lottery take place last Monday. And, if you want to know our thoughts about it, there's a segment on it. There's everything we talked about in the last episode. Just go to the links in the description. Go watch it. You don't want to miss it. Now, obviously, the top 4 wound up being an interesting mix of teams. Obviously, the Mavericks got the first pick, Spurs got the second pick, the Sixers were third, and the Hornets were fourth. And, teams didn't ideally land themselves in the right spots. So we're going to put some articles on the screen right now. We'll start off in the city of brotherly love. The Philadelphia 76ers are reportedly open to trade offers for the number 3 overall pick. So Daryl Morey, I guess, not satisfied with the way that the lottery transpired for them. I guess they were going Cooper flag or bust. Not particularly sure. They have some pretty bad contracts on this team that they need to shed. So I'll go to you first, Antoine. What should Philly do this summer?
Oh wow. So where to start? If I'm Philly, I would actually keep that 3rd pick, unless they want to move off of certain players, because you could attach that third overall pick to I guess a team that's going to compete next year, you can get out of Paul George. Embiid probably will stay. Maxey will stay. McCain will stay. Kelly Oubre could go. I think they moved off Caleb Martin. That was another like mid-level exception contract they signed in the offseason. They got Quentin Grimes back. He should be back for next year.
What about Paul George?
I said Paul George. Yeah, I think you
stay or go.
I think Oubre would be more of like casualty, but PG I wouldn't be surprised. Apparently, like he was playing through some injuries this year, but like that's every year for him. So, I mean, I wouldn't be mind moving PG. That's a lot of money. You send him back to a winner, and just move forward with your just the team you have. Embiid's kind of that one player you want to just hold on to like by a slight thread because you hope he's going to turn that corner this year. Hopefully.
I mean, you think he's still Embiid, but
he's still Embiid, but like I don't think like I don't know if he's getting that invasive surgery or not, so I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm also not totally sold on the fact that them keeping Quentin Grimes. I think that last month of the season kind of pushed his pay over the bar for them to. I think there's teams with cap space like a Brooklyn or like a Detroit that could easily give him that sort of money because he could warrant the full MLE for all we know. If you're dropping 45, in a week, then things like that
also,
can happen.
It doesn't hurt like. If they don't like Ace Bailey, like if it goes Cooper Flag, Dylan Harper, I know VJ is more of a shooting guard. You could still take McCain off the bench for a sixth man, or you could even take a big man. It would be kind of a reach because the board would be kind of left with some guys that are really, really good. It just depends how it falls, how they view certain guys. Like I know the highest rated big man is probably Malawach, but that's another big center that would take over Embiid's spot, and you don't want that. I would definitely lead towards like a power forward, small forward type, which would be Ace.
Yeah.
Exactly. Or anybody else that's around.
I mean, that's where I feel like you have sort of the leverage because let's say San Antonio trades the second pick and a team comes in and takes Ace Bailey. You don't really need any of the guards. You already have a plethora of them.
Exactly.
So now you have the leverage to play around. Whoever wants to get the third pick, whether you trade for a player or if you want to swap with like Utah or Brooklyn or whoever.
Yeah, I mean,
get yourself in the right
they
spot.
could do like the Luka Trae Young trade. They could just swap the draft rights after they draft who they want and then just flip-flop. And then take whoever like a top 10 team picks they want and then they just swap, add some players or picks in that are like kind of like, that warrant the trade to be like successful for both teams.
Yeah.
Just do that.
What if they let go of Paul George and they draft Ace Bailey as his replacement?
I mean, who's going to want to take on that Paul George contract?
How many years he has left?
I'll tell you right now.
3 years, 3. I think 3.
Yeah, I'll tell you the exact money-wise because he did sign a 4-year deal, but the contract Paul George is on is by far like top 3 worst in the NBA at this current moment in time. So he's on 3 years for a little over 150.
Yeah.
So he's making 50. He's making 51 next year, 54 the year after, and he's got a player option for 56.6.
Damn.
So.
Well, I guess you hold on to him.
Because he has no value unless a tanking team is willing to take on that salary. It just depends on who the Sixers want in return. Like, what are teams going to offer? And that's where I'm just unsure.
Yeah.
With Paul George, like, could he get moved? Absolutely.
Right.
But could he also not? Absolutely.
So wait, what was it that you said Daryl Morey did? You said he moved up and got he traded for the the third pick overall?
No, they won. They moved up in the lottery.
Right.
So they got the third pick from that.
So, Philly has a plethora of free agents this year, and they all have options. So we were just saying Andre Drummond has a player option, Eric Gordon has a player option, Grimes is an RFA that could match that deal. Kyle Lowry is a free agent. Oubre has a player option. Lonnie Walker has a team option. Yabusele is a free agent. Jeff Dowden's an RFA. 2026, there's no free agents that are notable. This is the year. It could be a whole different team for next year.
I feel like this is the year they really need to make a decision on something because he just had a horror show season. You missed the playoffs, and you finished 13th in the East with championship expectations. That's just not it. And there's no guarantees his roster could even stay healthy. Like, we're even worrying about Maxi's durability in this day and age.
Right.
Like, that's just not good. And essentially, they're going to have to move off of one of these three guys, whether it's Embiid, Maxi, or Paul George. And it's probably going to wind up being two of the three. So, and what do you do, Gio, if you're Philly right now with the third pick?
I mean, you draft Ace Bailey.
Yeah,
I think bro has some serious upside. I think even in the post, not the post, but the interview that he had, where he was saying pretty much he was saying no shot is a bad shot for him because he practices those shots. Just the ability to have the confidence to say that in front of the media, I think that alone is huge, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think Ace Bailey, he has something to it, like to his game and to his confidence, and I think that could help out the Sixers big time. He can fill in that, Paul George role, what you wanted Paul George to be. I think Ace Bailey can be that.
He modeled his game after him.
Yeah.
So he kind of fits that Paul George, Brandon Miller sort of archetype.
Definitely.
And those are like, when it works, they're scoring machines. They're ultra versatile on both ends. Because Paul George in his prime wasn't a bad defender by any means.
He was a great defender.
And, obviously now, post-leg injury, he's in his mid-30s. And,
Yeah.
He's lost a bunch of steps. And that's just normal for the process. But when you give him that kind of contract, it's just hard for me to not criticize him. Because
definitely,
it's, at the end of the day, it's deserved. And the Sixers need to be better from here if they want any series. It's like the East is wide open right now. Next season, that sixth spot could easily go to them. They could find themselves in the conference finals for the first time next season.
Yeah, they could.
We never know.
I'm all for them embracing the rebuild because I think it's a little overdue. They're trying to just patch things right now that are like easily patchable for them, and like for them, like the definition of insanity is running the same thing back over and over and expecting a different result. And that's been for like the past 2 to 3 years right now for them. So if they want to just still be insanity and doing the same thing over and over and over again, it's the fans are gonna, definitely not show up to the arena a lot more than they did last year.
Well, they're running it back over and over again because they just keep getting injured, and unfortunately, that's the reason why.
That is the reason why, because it's not like when Embiid's healthy, he's one of the best players on the planet. But like, if he keeps constantly getting injured and coming up short in the playoffs, you got to change something. Like something has to give. Remember, like we all talk about this with Harden, where you bring in Dwight Howard, Chris Paul, Russell Westbrook, this, and that. None of it worked, so you kept getting rid of the other guys. Yet James Harden was never really held accountable up until the very end. And Embiid, it's been the same thing. You had Ben Simmons, you had Jimmy Butler, you had James Harden.
Come on, bro. Don't say Ben Simmons, bro.
But look, Ben Simmons, at the end of the day, got blamed when Embiid didn't show up either. So that's really that's the only thing. They were both top 3 picks.
Yeah.
And Embiid's the guy with the ball in his hands. He's the best player on the team.
Right.
And if he's dropping 15 points in an elimination game 7, then I don't know what to tell you.
Mm-hmm. Also, Philly kind of has a curse with top 3 picks. So I could kind of understand why they would want to move it because look at Fultz, look at Simmons, look at Embiid, look at.
Well, Embiid
What do
turned
you
out to
mean?
be.
Look at Embiid.
Well,
Embiid throws an MVP.
I understand
Embiid
that,
was a
but
hit. They're just not good with the first pick.
I would say Fultz and Simmons.
I mean, look at Allen Iverson.
Well, yeah,
he was like the first or second.
We're talking.
We're talking about the new era.
Recent. We're talking
of
recent.
The Sixers. We're talking about the Sam Hinkie, Daryl Morey era when he passed the torch on to him.
Like Maxey and McCain are hits, but those are late round picks.
That's why we're finding a lot more underrated
curse.
hits recently. Is like that mid to late first round.
Yeah,
and that's where Philly's kind of finding their core, and we'll see if they can keep it working. But I guess one final question before we move on. Do we think the Sixers have a massive rebound season next year, or do you think they miss the playoffs again?
I don't think it's a massive rebound season, but I think it is a rebound season. I think Embiid actually plays games, and they go to the playoffs. I'm not going to say they're a top 3 seed like I did for this season.
Yeah.
But they will be in the playoffs next year.
The expectation for me is playing.
That's
high playing.
Yeah.
Just we got to see what the other East teams do that are on a come up. Miami could do some major things.
Yep.
Depends. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I wouldn't put pressure on Philly for the playoffs.
No.
Because even when they're all healthy on the floor, they still can get injured, and they probably will get injured. And, it's just the same cycle, and it's probably going to cost Nick Nurse his job at some point mid-season, if not at the end of the season, and they'll probably look for a new coach by that point. So let's get into the next story. There's obviously a lot of swirling reports regarding the San Antonio Spurs, but now I'll put this tweet on the screen from NBA Central. The Spurs could wind up keeping the number 2 pick. It says they are not pursuing trades from what we're hearing. They think that they can play Harper together with Steph Castle and De'Aaron Fox in the same backcourt. Gio, you were talking about this yesterday.
It was.
I need you to elaborate on this for me.
Dude, I mean, I like it, bro. Like, I like the whole idea of having a young team and building them up from the ground up. I think that's a great idea. I think that's how you build dynasties. You know what I mean? This exact way. If you get Giannis, cool. Maybe you'll get a championship. Awesome. But if you get Dylan Harper and he ends up being a hit, and then you still have De'Aaron Fox, and you have Stephon Castle, you got Victor Wembanyama, and you got a bunch of other guys, right? I think that could end up being a dynasty. I mean, even though you have 3 guards, let's say, in your starting lineup, I think it's still because then you still have Victor Wembanyama, so he makes up for the size. You know what I mean?
Not for the most part, yes, but it's like you're gonna need another big next to him if you're gonna roll out 3 guards under 6'5". That's kind of the problem.
I will also add, like, yes, they got Fox, but Fox is kind of coming up on the end of his time as prime, I think, in my opinion. A little bit.
I say get rid of Fox.
How old is he?
I also would say, didn't Castle play off the bench the second half of the season?
No, he was starting because remember, Fox got surgery on his thumb.
But wasn't he still coming off the bench?
No.
I swear he was coming. Okay.
What?
All right, I don't know.
They had guys in and out the lineup with injuries. That whole roster was dealing with stuff. So,
but listen, it doesn't hurt to have an embarrassment of riches at a certain position.
Fox is 27. He's just starting his prime right now.
Oh, okay.
It's just the problem is that's what happens when you play in Sacramento. Like you basically play like you're 35.
Yeah.
But that's just because the team is ass.
Yeah, and I know they're not going to get rid of De'Aaron Fox because they just went out and got him. They didn't even have a chance to really see him and Vic play together, so they don't even know. Right. So they're not going to get rid of Fox, but I do think in the future they're going to get rid of. If they end up drafting Dylan Harper.
I did last week. Don't worry.
If they end up drafting Dylan, I think they get rid of Fox in the future. They trade him for another asset that could actually help with this team.
I think they have to.
Yeah.
Because that's what do you notice about like the dynasties is because the Warriors built up with Steph, Clay, Draymond.
Yeah.
They traded for the superstar.
Yeah.
I think they could have won those championships without Kevin Durant anyways, but you still needed to make that move to be sure of it. The Heat, obviously, you built up through Dwayne Wade and all those guys. You bring in LeBron and Chris Bosh. I don't remember if the Celtics traded for Kevin Garnett. Mm-hmm. Were the Bulls all drafted?
The Bulls with Jordan?
Yes.
Yeah, they were all drafted.
They were all drafted by Chicago.
Yep.
So that's the one outlier. That's what happened.
Except for Rodman. Rodman was traded from the Pistons.
Okay, fair.
Yeah.
But I think just in this day and age of the NBA, you need a core foundation of 2 to 3 guys that can carry you far, and then you trade for the star that fits without giving up too much. Mm-hmm. And that's
I just hope and pray that the coach, what's the coach's name?
Mitch Johnson.
I hope he's a good coach because if you have a bunch of young players like this, you have to get them to buy in early.
Yeah.
So that they're not playing for their own their own image, I guess you can say, but they're playing for the team.
Yeah.
That's the hard part.
Well,
getting the young talent to buy into the team.
Well,
get that team brand of basketball. And I think San Antonio is a good place for that to happen because of Popovich and the culture that's already in San Antonio.
Well, let me put it to you this way, right? They were playing great all season anyways. They were going to make the play-in if Wemby didn't get hurt. Fox was still going to play. But obviously since Wemby went out and he decided to get the surgery, get it over with, Pop is still there. The fact that he's okay with Mitch Johnson being the coach is a great sign because he was head assistant. So we'll have to see going forward, but he's at least going to coach for the next few years.
Some guys have aura. Pop has aura. Like when he comes into the room, it's not about you, it's about him.
Oh, damn right, bro.
You know what I mean? Like I don't know if Mitch has that same aura. Hopefully he does.
He will.
So San Antonio this offseason only has like Chris Paul that's going to be a free agent. Next year is the big thing. Next year Fox is a free agent. They could definitely not bring him back. That's they're literally,
He's trying to work on the extension. So if you draft Dylan Harper, that can cause some controversy.
Sohan's an RFA next year. Harrison Barnes would be a free agent. Champagny would have a team option, and then Malachi Brennan would be an RFA. That's really it.
So let me ask you, either of you guys, if you are the GM of the San Antonio Spurs, and you draft Dylan Harper. He has a good season. Like maybe he's like top 3, top 2 in Rookie of the Year. Maybe he wins it.
Yep.
Right. But De'Aaron Fox also has a really good season. Right. So what do you do then? Do you still get rid of Fox and get another asset, or do you keep Fox because he had a good season, and keep Dylan Harper? Like, what do you do if in that situation?
This is another Fox Halliburton situation. One has to go.
Yeah.
What do you do? That's the question. You have a much more stable foundation in San Antonio to get rid of the young star.
Well, Fox would also have to be traded before the deadline because he's
That's when they're going to make a move.
He's a free agent.
Because if Giannis is going to Giannis is going to request out within the year. So whether that be now or at the deadline, and then you could easily trade away Fox and bring Giannis.
Now, let me ask, where could Fox go besides Milwaukee? What's a good fit for Fox?
I think this is his best fit.
This is the best fit.
Okay.
There's really no other. I think maybe Orlando.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think
nice.
San Antonio is where he needs to be right now.
Got it.
That's why I think, because I mean, Dylan Harper just seems like a really redundant piece to Castle.
Well, wait,
And
hold on.
That's where I'm on the fence with keeping him.
What about Houston?
Houston could work, but
Yeah.
I don't. Houston. I mean, San Antonio would have to trade for. They would have to trade for someone like Van Vliet, but I don't know if they're
Yeah, I
gonna
mean,
do that.
like San Antonio could be using this as a smokescreen to allow maybe teams to trade up and take Harper because they're saying they're going to take him
Yeah.
and get more from them, and they move down. It's a big chess game.
It's a game, yeah.
So
all up in the air.
It depends. Maybe draft night will know exactly what's going on, and that's it. We go from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, look, San Antonio's got a good problem to have. You have a plethora of great talent alongside Victor Wembanyama, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll see what they do. There's plenty of rumors surrounding them in the mix for guys like Giannis, Brook Lopez, if they need another big, Nick Claxton, Miles Turner. There's so many people available for them to get their hands on. At the end of the day, we'll just have to see what happens from there.
Yeah, dude, if they get Claxton, that'll be an insane front court.
That'd be funny, actually, if they did. Just 2 lanky shot blockers.
That's true.
That'll be an insane front court.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I guess the last thing real quick before we move on, another tweet we're going to put on the screen right now. Despite not having a first-round pick, the Milwaukee Bucks have been planning to bring in some projected top 8 picks for workouts. I've been told by multiple sources on the Bucks they're taking steps in the event Giannis moves on. Top 8 seems very scarily specific of a number.
Oh.
Because a certain team has the 8th pick.
Who is that?
The Brooklyn Nets. It's going to happen, isn't it?
It's gonna happen, bro. You know he'll be a Net.
Well, don't forget.
And so will Russ.
Don't forget San Antonio. Moving Fox is a lot easier.
Right, yeah.
It's Philly, no.
Yeah, they won't trade him to Philly.
Toronto, no.
Mavericks, no.
No.
Yeah, well, Toronto was an option for Giannis.
Okay, Toronto.
So it's basically either Miami, Toronto, Brooklyn. Miami's doesn't have a pick
Miami's a top 8 pick
until later in the draft. So
yeah, we'll have to see if that formulates on draft night, that whole trade, or even the day a week before. Then we'll know exactly who has that pick, or if they move on.
yeah, so we'll know when the time comes. And I'm not sure how I feel by then because we're just gonna stick in the realm of mediocrity. I'll welcome it. I won't be happy about it, but I'll take it.
If there are intense rumors of the Nets and Giannis like on draft day, and it's going up until the pick, and we're doing live streaming, and we're gonna see Ty just, is the trade done? Is it? We're gonna be like, what's going on? It's gonna be great though. We'll see what happens.
If you get Giannis, I don't think you guys will be mediocre. I think you guys will be good.
We'll be good, yeah, because we have cap space. That's the thing.
Yeah, exactly.
We're gonna trade caps. We're gonna trade our big contracts to get him, so we'll still be able to make moves, kind of like what Detroit did when they made the trades for, their other ancillary pieces. And they got Tim Hardaway for Quentin Grimes, and then they signed Tobias Harris, and we'd probably do the same thing. I'm not sure exactly what we do, but it would be interesting. But, stuff like this is why, it's always strange to me how, like, I understand why Knicks fans say because they hate the Nets, but, like, the Nets are a big market team. We just don't get treated like one because we're the Nets. And, that's kind of that. But do we have any final thoughts on any of the draft night stuff before we move on?
Yeah, let's roll.
So basically what we're going to do now for the next, like, half hour, 45 minutes, I guess, is go through the 3 playoff losers and, just kind of talk about their season and what they're going to do in the offseason. We're not going to include the Celtics because obviously their season was pretty much done for last week when Jason Tatum tore his Achilles. We talked ad nauseum about them for about 25 minutes. So if you want to go check that out, link down below in the description. Go watch it. Obviously, we do send our well wishes to Jason Tatum.
Yeah.
And, hopefully we'll see him back on the court, whether it's late next season or in 2026, 27? Is that next? Yeah, so whatever that season is, that's, bro. There's a chance that we won't have Tatum, Kyrie, or Damian Lillard next season at all. It's very heartbreaking. I don't like it at all. It's going to be weird not seeing Jason Tatum on the court.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
You know what the good news is? When he comes back, he'll still be 19. So there we go. So obviously we got 3 teams to talk about. I assume we'll start with the West team since we have 2 of them to cover. So let's talk about Gio's favorite team of all time, the Golden State Warriors.
Oof.
They had a very rocky season, as per usual since the dynasty ended, because, if we just recap the last decade, you win a title in 2015, you get Kevin Durant, go 73-9, and lose in the finals, blowing a 3-1 lead in 2016. You go back-to-back in 2017, 2018. 2019, you play the Raptors in the finals, everyone gets injured, and then you lose KD. Klay Thompson gets re-injured in 2020, and then you miss that season. The Warriors were in purgatory for 2021, and then 21-22, they just have this black magic under themselves, and they win a championship again. Steph Curry goes God mode in the playoffs. And then the past 3 years, past 2 years, I guess, they've been bounced in the second round, the play-in, and then this year got bounced in the second round once again.
Yeah.
So now you know the full story of the modern-day Golden Warriors, past the We Believe era.
Exactly, yeah.
And we get to this year. So obviously this year, none of us predicted them to get to the playoffs. We all had them finishing 11th. They did very well in the in-season tournament, got themselves to, I believe, the quarterfinals before losing to, I think, Houston. And then, they kind of start faltering off a bit after the hot start, and you make a trade for Jimmy Butler. Huge trade. It was like a 6-team deal, bunch of moving parts, but at the end of the day, you get the guy you wanted. And to be quite honest with you, when the trade worked, and Jimmy Butler looked incredible with this Warriors team. And then he gets hurt in the first round against Houston, lands right on his tailbone, and then Steph Curry gets injured in Game 1 against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Anthony just farted, by the way, so we're just gonna quickly move on.
He's right next
from
to me
that.
too.
Yeah, good. I'm glad I'm on the other side of the room. But Gio, obviously we know you're a diehard Warriors fan.
Definitely not.
So just what's your evaluation in the most unbiased way of their season?
Impossible. First of all, I can't be unbiased, but my evaluation is I would have been correct if they never traded for Jimmy Butler. In that they wouldn't have made the playoffs, but Jimmy Butler definitely turned their season around, like completely 180 degrees. He made them into the We Believe Warriors again.
Yeah,
because it's like once he got there, he pretty much uplifted all his teammates, and everyone was like all of a sudden riding the Jimmy Butler wave. Even Curry, like all of them are riding that Jimmy Butler wave. So yeah, I mean, obviously, I think you run it back with Jimmy and Steph. See what you do in the next season.
Yeah,
that's a pretty good duo. Like it seems like their chemistry, right from the jump, their chemistry was pretty good. So imagine what like a full season of that looks like. And then I think, of course, what do you think they'll do with Kuminga? That's my question.
Well, we'll get to that in a minute. But I wanted to touch on something with Jimmy Butler real quick.
Yeah.
I think he is the modern day just We Believe.
Yeah.
Just what he's been able to do throughout his career, especially with Miami. The 2 times they made the finals, those Heat teams had a combined seeding of 13. That's insane. You managed to take that Lakers team to 6 games, and you actually gave Denver their only loss at home that postseason in the finals, which is pretty crazy. So shout out Jimmy.
Yeah.
But let me actually pull up. There was a link I had saved regarding Jimmy Butler and not Jimmy Butler. What's his face? Jonathan Kuminga.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have the tweet right here. It's from Legion Hoops. And it says that, sorry, the internet's kind of slow right now. I don't know why this is zoomed in so far. But it says Jonathan Kuminga and the Warriors are expected to explore sign and trade scenarios per Anthony Slater.
Yeah.
Now, Steve Kerr obviously told Kuminga that next season he's going to be back better than ever. But, the coach doesn't always have the final say. And in essence, Kuminga, they did what the Nets tried to do with Cam Thomas, and he commands this type of contract. He wants like 5 years for $225, $230, and the Warriors don't want to pay him that. He's not worth anywhere near that. So they started giving him DNPs to lower his value, so they can pay him a cheaper contract.
Yeah.
So I'll go to you, Antoine. What contract do you genuinely think Kuminga deserves for a 5-year deal? Because that's what he's going to get.
Yeah.
And where do you think he'll wind up? Because he could be anywhere.
Yeah. So that's like their biggest problem this offseason. Everybody else is a free agent isn't really thread the needle for them a lot, it's basically Kuminga because the sign and trade is the most, I think, plausible thing for them to do just because they'll get a lot of return back for him. If I'm being honest, he's going to go to the Nets. I think the Nets trade literally 2 of their picks or 1 of their picks this year in the draft class and get Kuminga.
Kuminga's not worth a first. Not a chance. If anything, I'll give him Cam Johnson for Kuminga, but I'm not giving a first. I'm protecting that first.
I know the Nets. I think they're gonna go for a team that has a pick or like a mid-table pick. Is Miami have a mid-table pick this year?
I don't think so. They probably do actually because they were an 8 seed.
Yeah, I think he goes to the East team. He goes out east. It's either Brooklyn, Miami. I think that's literally the only options I have.
Chicago's another option.
You mean like swapping Giddey and him?
No, you'd probably trade like Vucevic and Lonzo.
Yeah.
Well, they do need a center. They could move for Claxton on Brooklyn.
They could
move for who else? Center for Kuminga. Sabonis doesn't really do much for that. Who else? Vooch, like you said, Vooch probably would work for that actually too.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think like what else could they
They need a center. That's literally the only thing I could do with this trade is get a center in return or a high pick to get a center in a draft.
Right. And I just don't think the Warriors are going to get it with this trade. I feel like the Warriors are going to have to just find someone on the scrap heap in the free agency market, and there's just not many good options. Like, what's your best chance? Brook Lopez? Like, that's not really. You're not getting Miles Turner now that they've made the Eastern Conference Finals. He's staying. He's sticking around. He's probably going to be a Pacer for life. But with Kuminga, I feel like, and even if the Nets give him an offer sheet, like if they don't do the sign and trade, the Warriors will just match whatever they give him.
Yeah.
But I could definitely see us ending this summer with both Kuminga and Giannis on the team.
Oh wow.
Which would be kind of funny, and that would be the most Nets thing ever because that team's nowhere near good enough to compete for a championship. But
So you don't think Kuminga stays in the Warriors?
No.
No. Yeah.
Do you think the Warriors could use him?
No.
Or does he have a role there?
I think there is a role, but I just don't think he fits Steve Kerr's philosophy. I think
Why?
I don't know. I just based on the DNPs, he's not getting the minutes.
Well, you know why? It's because his value. They don't want his value because they actually want him. Maybe
exactly. But
so
at the end of the day, I'm just not sure.
I think the relationship's too sour.
You think so?
Continue.
How do you know this?
No, I just think just because
you would assume that, but maybe Steve Kerr is saying
he was.
We really want you here. Maybe this is what Steve Kerr is saying. We want you here so bad because we really believe in the talent that you have, and this is the reason why we're not going to play you because your value would go up and we wouldn't be able to afford you, but we value you so much.
The Warriors.
Maybe that's what's going on behind closed doors.
Can't afford him. It's not an issue.
That could be another thing too, because the Warriors' payroll is stupidly high. So if he winds up signing for maybe $10 million more, for example, per year, then that means it's gonna be a more expensive trade you have to make with the sign and trade. So maybe they don't want to do that. I just feel like they've exhausted their options with Kuminga, and I feel like they just want to move on.
Okay.
Yeah, it's beneficiary. It's a benefit for both. And then, Draymond has a player option next year. That could be the last year for him. Retire after that. See how long he plays.
How old is Draymond?
37.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He might have one more year, that player option, pick it up, and that's it, retire.
Yeah, that's it.
But that's it, yeah. I got nothing else for Golden State. I think they run it back.
He's 35, sorry.
Yeah.
35?
But still, he's got his beard's gray. It doesn't really matter at this point. He's old.
I will look for a big jump for Pods this year, third year.
We'll see, man.
Before his contract extension sets in for him, of course.
Well, they'll pick up his 4th year option.
Yeah.
They'll do the cheap route.
And then, Trace Jackson Davis, kind of, iffy on that. They have a Quentin Post.
Buddy Hield
will be back. Yeah, I mean, we'll see what else they bring in. We know last year in the free agency they brought in the 3 guys, D'Anthony Melton, Kyle Anderson, and Buddy Hield, and 2 of those guys were gone mid-season.
Yeah.
So, and they kept Buddy Hield. So, they could do the same thing, bring in a nice bench of guys that, fit the team, maybe move on from 1 or 2 of them. And D'Anthony Melton got a bad injury. That's why they moved on from him.
Yeah, he was used in the Schroeder trade.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah.
That's the thing. The Warriors just need to make smarter decisions. Like Dennis Schroeder did not need to. That wasn't a trade that needed to be made.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So if anything, they just got to tighten up next season and get Steph some adequate help, so that way he's not doing everything to the point where he gets hurt. Because that's essentially what happened. He played 7 games of having the shoulder pretty much the entire offense, and just no one else could really give him anything. Like Jimmy Butler was awful against Minnesota. I mean, he was terrible.
Yeah, I mean, it was only him, though.
I know, but, at the end of the day, we didn't see that killer instinct like we did in Miami. That was only a year or two ago. And Dwayne Wade, I think it was either Dwayne Wade or Udonis Haslem said that Jimmy Butler isn't that guy anymore. And, there's probably some sour grapes from the way he left Miami. I understand that. But maybe they're onto something. And, Jimmy Butler's on one of the most expensive contracts next season. If he's playing like this, that's going to be an awful contract. It's already a net negative. $60 million a year for that. You can't have that happen. That's just bad business management from Golden State.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess final question regarding them. What do you see ceiling-wise from them next season, just based off of an early sort of look at this thing?
They're a playoff team.
They're still playing for me.
They're a playoff
Top
team.
playing.
Everyone healthy, they're a playoff team.
I still think they're the West is so stacked.
That's
man.
a problem. Yeah,
They're top six.
Teams are going to improve. San Antonio can get back in the top 6, no
I
problem.
don't think San Antonio's a playoff team. They're still
No,
playing.
they're still not a playoff team, but if they get Giannis, they will.
Oh, well, yeah. If
That's the other
if
thing.
that happens, yeah.
Because, OKC's there. Denver's there. Houston's still
Minnesota
up there.
should be there.
Minnesota should be there. You're looking at the Clippers, who are still around. And
Yeah.
there's
I think
other,
Clippers fall off next year.
I don't know. We'll have to see.
We'll see.
Kawhi's healthy. He's gonna have a full healthy offseason.
True.
So next year could be really good.
Yeah.
And we'll just have to see. So any final thoughts regarding the Golden State Warriors?
Mm.
All right, let's
roll.
get into Gio's other all-time favorite team, the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Gosh, dude.
Another team that Gio just absolutely loves with all his heart.
I should have sat out
He,
this segment.
he literally was glazing them like 5 minutes before we started recording.
Not even close.
So, look, bro, Antoine was a witness. He can vouch.
Antoine doesn't know what's going on.
Okay.
But let's talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers. Big improvement from last season. Obviously, last year, we're trying to figure things out with the Mitchell Garland fit. It didn't really work. And, you get to the second round. Donovan Mitchell gets hurt after dropping 3 50-point games in the playoffs. And you go out and 5 to Boston. This year, you bring in Kenny Atkinson. About as perfect of a first regular season you could have asked for with a new coach. Really shored up their offense, moving Evan Mobley out of the dunker spot, making Mitchell and Garland work together. And then you just had great role player help all across the board from guys like Max Strus, Ty Jerome's renaissance as a 6-man came about, and a bunch of things happened. And then again, things didn't go right for them in the playoffs. They got injured. They couldn't really get things done. You go up against a red-hot Indiana, who is just as good as them since the start of the year. And you also go out in 5 games. So, Gio, I'll go to Antoine first, actually, because I already know what you're going to say. Antoine, just overall, your evaluation of the Cavs season.
Well, my motto for the Cavs when we did preseason was that they're too good to be bad, and they did prove me to be correct this year. That starting 5 is probably one of the best when all cohesively working together. I'm probably not including Max Strus or Isaac Okoro in there as much, just for extra help. But the top 4, the backcourt, the front court, and then of course Ty Jerome. We knew the revelation he was. Can I get to what I'm saying? Ty Jerome, the revelation he was in the beginning of the season, and the story he had, it was phenomenal. And he's a free agent after this year, so it's up to them if they want to bring him back or just let him walk because of what happened towards the end of the season in the playoffs. He was benched for a good amount of time. That's the only massive free agent they have. So otherwise, next year we're looking at the same team bringing back the same team on the bench as well. I would hope that moves are made for the bench to bring in some depth, as always, which every team needs. And I think the starting 5 stays the same. They run it back for Kenny A Part 2. And you're hoping for, come this time next year, they're in the Eastern Conference Finals with no injuries. And everybody's healthy, ready to go. And that's kind of what we see, I think. And then if I'm being honest, if next year it's the same problem, Kenny A is gone and the team is blown up.
Is that what you're predicting, or is that?
No, if it's the same thing next year where I don't want to say injuries, but if everybody's healthy and the team gets knocked out second round or even first round, Kenny A is gone and the team's blown up.
And that's the problem with Coach of the Year. I mean, you look at right now, Kenny A just won it. So, like you said, at the end of next year, if they don't succeed, he'll be on the clock. Dagnall's going to be on the clock,
Yeah.
and Tibbs is already on the clock We don't know how long his leash is at this point. It really depends on.
It's pretty long.
I genuinely think he only stays if the Knicks make the finals.
You said something different yesterday.
Did I?
Yeah, you said that ever since he beat the Pistons in the Celtics, he's pretty good.
Right, but then I thought back to what the Bucks and Nuggets did. Had they not won in their respective years, they were going to fire Bud and Malone. So it made me realize that I think the Knicks might need to win a championship for Tibbs to keep his job.
Wow.
Because if it's wide open like this, and, like I said, if the Knicks keep having to come from behind, they're going to run out of that magic at some point. Maybe he's not taking advantage of the opportunity. That's what I'm saying.
Dude, if the standard of being a head coach in the league is winning championships, everyone should get fired.
No, it's for coach of the years. The three of them won coach of the year. That's what I'm saying. The leash is shorter on them.
Consecutive years.
Your window shrinks dramatically when you win coach of the year, because if you're the best coach that season, you better win a championship in the next 3 years. Otherwise, you're not that guy, and we got to move on and look elsewhere. And that's really the problem, because the roster's stale out after a certain period of time.
I think that could be, you could be right, but that could also be a major cop-out for GMs.
Well, it's both. Because they don't make the right moves. But Tibbs is the only coach of the year left in the past decade outside of Dagnall and what's his face, Kenny Atkinson.
Yeah.
But, Gio, do you think the Cavs need to make some moves in the offseason? Who do you think should
what is there to do? Their team was quote unquote stacked, right?
Well, you clearly didn't think so.
No, they had a good team, but the only issue is they didn't have that dog in them, and that's why I said that whole time these were a bunch of frauds. The team is great. Don't get me wrong, but they just don't have that dog. Now, if you want to, I don't know. Me personally, I think that stems from coaching. That stems from the leader of the team, Donovan Mitchell. I'm not saying Donovan Mitchell doesn't have that dog in him, but he hasn't been out of the second round ever. So maybe I'm saying that. You know what I mean? So,
I don't think it's him.
I don't think it's him either, but it's something. I don't know what it is, and that's why I was saying this whole time, something in my gut was telling me these guys weren't it. And, I don't know. We'll see. If they want to settle for mediocrity in terms of just not winning championships, they're still going to be a top-tier team. Yeah. But in terms of mediocre, in terms of not winning chips, keep the same team. Still sell tickets.
If I'm them, they're going to this offseason, I would consider moving Max Strus. I feel like that's been a bad deal for them. I don't think Max
What is that going to do
has contributed. You just shed off dead weight, bringing guys that you can improve on.
He doesn't make that much money.
He doesn't make money.
15 mil.
Yeah, but you got Jared Allen making 25.
He might be the one that has to go.
I think he, as much
Jared Allen's at 20, flat.
Okay, so
still.
Yeah, but still, I think I love Jared Allen and
Nets legend.
Nets legend. My biggest issue with Jared Allen, he is so damn soft.
Yeah, he is.
He is one of the softest players the NBA has to offer. And unfortunately, that rubbed off on a lot of the guys on Brooklyn. Nick Claxton has that sort of also that he seems tough, but he's also kind of soft. He crashes out a lot purely for that reason. And Jared Allen kind of has those same tendencies.
Yeah.
And we saw last year, he said the lights were brighter than expected.
Wow.
It was either a year or two. I think it was either a year ago or 2 years ago.
That's probably the worst thing he could say.
Yeah. Well, that was his first time really deep in the playoffs. So, because he played one round with us in the first round in 2019 and in 2020. And in the bubble, he got bitched in the paint so bad by the Raptors, he did not take a single shot attempt from game 2 to the second quarter of game 4. That can't happen. That just can't. And I think that was the main reason why the Nets traded him in the Harden deal. Because obviously we would have preferred, because what we wanted to do was trade Spencer Dinwiddie in the Harden package and then trade Jared Allen for Aaron Gordon. Mm-hmm. But because Dinwiddie got hurt, it screwed up everything. We had to include Jared Allen in the Harden trade, and Denver had a much better offer for Aaron Gordon, which wound up being one of the most insane fleeces of all time.
Yeah.
Gary Harris and RJ, whatever his name is, RJ Hampton. Yeah. Is crazy.
Insane.
So I think we saw Jared Allen. This was his last chance. And we saw a little bit of a spark last year in the playoffs, but then he got hurt.
Yeah.
And now this year, I think he might be the one that needs to go.
I agree with that.
I think Mobley's their future franchise guy. He has to stay.
Of course.
Garland's got a much brighter future right now than Donovan Mitchell. So he could even request to trade this offseason, Donovan Mitchell. We still don't even know.
Exactly.
But I think Mitchell or Allen or both could both be gone by the time this season starts.
I think definitely Allen, and I think maybe Mitchell. But, I mean, yeah. I think Allen has to go, actually.
Yeah.
I think the most realistic one is they run it all back for a second year.
I mean, they could. I mean, like I said, the East is wide open. Like, if they can just even replicate 80% of this regular season, I think they'll still finish first in the East.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because Boston's not going to be.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Boston is wide open. It's wide open next year again.
I don't
for the
know,
Knicks.
man. It's not that wide open. Boston's still good without Tatum.
But what if they trade Jaylen Brown, is what I'm saying.
Or if
Okay,
they
yeah.
get
a lot of stuff
point
they
guard.
can do. That's why I
Yeah.
said Boston's got their wild card next season. Boston
Yeah.
could finish anywhere from 1st to 14th.
Very
They could
true.
tank.
Very
So we'll have to see. And even still, like, we see the Knicks and Pacers and Pistons. They're all playing good in the playoffs, but they're not all consistent during the regular season.
Yeah.
So I think it's wide open. And I think that's for Cleveland to take advantage of. Lock up the 1 seed early, and then you can just relax, rest the bodies, and then go for a playoff run.
Yeah.
That's what they should do. That's what they need to do. And we'll have to see if they get it done.
Agreed.
So
Last
do we-
game.
Yeah, well, we'll do that in the next segment. But
Okay.
what do we see ceiling wise for Cleveland next
They're
season?
still top 3 with the roster they have. If they,
Depends on the changes they make.
yeah,
Let's say they keep Mitchell.
exactly.
Well, let's say, give me a scenario for running it back, and the scenario where they trade Jared Allen.
I think either way, they're top 3.
Yeah, I think it's a safe. I think they're still top 2 safely. There's
Yeah.
no way they get the 3rd seed. They would have to have a massive injury crisis.
Yeah.
And then playoff wise, do we think they can replicate?
I don't want to say. I don't know what the team's going to be.
They're going to crash out again in the
it's
in the
too
second
early to
round.
say.
As long as Mitchell's there, they're crashing out.
Well, they'll definitely get through round 1 without a problem.
Yeah.
8 seed in the East is going to be garbage, just like
Yeah.
last time. Maybe that's also a problem. I think when you have an easy first round, it gives you some false hope, and you're a little lackadaisical.
Yeah.
Like the Pacers the Pacers did win in 5, but Milwaukee challenged them throughout the entirety of the series.
Mm-hmm.
So it keeps you alert. Alrighty, let's talk about the 3rd and final team that we're going to get into that just got sent to La Cancunville, sorry, the Denver Nuggets. So let's talk about the Denver Nuggets. What a season. What a freaking season. So obviously they win the championship in 2023. 2024, they did just about everything they should have and would have done to win it all. They just did not look completely locked in the playoffs.
Yeah.
They go down 0-2 against Minnesota, storm all the way back, and then lose the last 2 games. Had a 20-point lead in Game 7 before choking it away, the biggest Game 7 choke in NBA history. Unfortunately, not great for the resumes of those gentlemen. But this season started off really bad. I think they were like 0-3 or 0-4, something of that nature. Then Jokic went on his usual, early January, late December tear.
Yeah.
Became the 3rd player ever to average a triple-double in a season. He averaged a 29.7-point triple-double, joining Oscar Robertson and Russell Westbrook as the only 3 players to do it. The first center to ever do it, which is actually really impressive. Unfortunately, he's not going to win MVP this year. Sucks, but, it is what it is. The NBA did its PR move. It's fine. But, the playoffs come around. The Nuggets got the 4 seed. Just did not look completely locked in all year. We're in a dogfight with the Clippers, won in Game 7. And then you come up against the best team in the league, the 68-win OKC Thunder. You steal Games 1 and 3. You get blown out in Game 2. You choke Game 4 and 5. You win Game 6. And then Game 7, they just shouldn't have even shown up, to be honest with you. I mean, they just got absolutely destroyed.
Yeah.
And
Manhandles.
basically pause. But, you could look at Denver's exit from a bunch of different perspectives. You were 2 bad chokes away from winning in 5, but
Yeah.
you were also 2 Aaron Gordon threes away from getting swept.
Yeah.
So a lot to take away with Denver. So Gio, as a temporary Nuggets fan, just your overall evaluation on their season.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, if you look back at the season, Denver, for a good long period of time there, they were top 2 in the West.
Yeah.
Right? They were holding their number 2 spot in the West for quite a while. So, I mean, it wasn't like a terrible season. It's just like all of a sudden, they just started going very cold. And specifically defensively, they couldn't stop anyone. Like, offensively, they were great because of Jokic.
Right.
Solely because of Jokic, because Murray was nowhere to be found in the regular season. But, I mean, defensively, they got to do something about that because they're terrible defensively.
We also totally forgot to mention they did fire Michael Malone.
Yes.
Yep.
And Calvin
And
Booth.
Calvin Booth.
Yes, maybe
Right
that's the
before the
reason,
playoffs.
because defensively they were
Yeah.
just abysmal. So,
Oh, they were awful. I
Yeah.
mean, the Nuggets and Knicks were getting compared to each other because they were just doing the same thing. They couldn't guard the three. They kept losing to the same teams.
Right.
And, they just weren't getting it done in the playoffs.
But they can put points on the board. That's what they can do.
Exactly.
But when you're playing against the best defense in the league and also one of the best offenses in the league, that's what happens, so.
It's one of the best teams of all time.
Yeah.
Based off of just pure rating in general. They have the second best net rating ever.
Yeah.
Behind, I don't remember if it was the Bulls or the Warriors. I think it was the Warriors because that team was just stupid.
Yeah.
But, obviously things transpire the way they transpire. And, Denver's got to really take a long look at themselves in the mirror this offseason because there's a lot riding on this summer specifically. Jokic just turned 30 back in, I think, February.
Wow.
There's not enough. You can't waste time here. You've already wasted 2 years of his prime. It's bad enough that the 2 years before that, you win the championship, but then Jamal Murray tears his ACL and you lose those 2 seasons in general there. So, obviously, Michael Porter Jr. seems to be the name that is floated around the trade market because, look, the Nuggets screwed themselves over so massively here because, look, Michael Porter makes $35 million this year. Gordon makes $22 million. And then there's a huge gap with Zeke Naji making $8 million. So there's no tradable contracts in that sort of 15 to 25 area because you're not trading Aaron Gordon.
Right.
Who, by the way, was outstanding all season amid the injuries and all the personal life stuff that's gone on. Shout out Gordon of Aaron. We love that guy. So, Antoine, I'll go to you here. Obviously, a lot of moves to be made with the Denver Nuggets, potentially.
Of course.
Should they trade MPJ?
I am on that bandwagon. I think that is the first thing. The free agents that are here, they should not be coming back. That's Chanchar and DeAndre Jordan. Gone. Player options are Saric and Westbrook. Both gone. Maybe Russ stays. The biggest thing they could do this offseason as well that they could avoid for next season is that Christian Brown, P. Water, are both restricted free agents next year. They could lock them both up this offseason and leave that be and then not worry about it next year. Or they could let it be next year and see how they perform in their last year. But it could also raise their price up significantly more. So it's kind of an iffy 50-50 situation for both of them. MPJ, I think, is gone. So also the owners, the Cronkies, very well known in sports. They have invested a lot of money this offseason into the Rams. They brought back Matthew Stafford, paid him a lot of money. They're now investing a lot of money into Arsenal in the transfer window coming up this upcoming season. And you have to do the same thing for your third team.
Yeah.
You can't leave one team in the shadow and invest into both teams in both off seasons. You got to invest in that third team.
Yeah. They also own the Avs as well. So there's going to be moves made because they're also a playoff team. And, I'm not sure what they're going to do there. But as far as the Nuggets goes, look, they've spent the money. They've just kind of put it in the wrong spots. And I'll cut them some slack because no one saw this new CBA coming when they gave Michael Porter the contract in 2021, 22. So you can't really control that. It's unfortunate that MPJ has to be the casualty piece. This is all on Calvin Booth. He mismanaged this roster so freaking badly. You had one of the best GMs in this generation in front of you in Tim Connolly. He built this team completely. And then Calvin Booth came in and basically he leached off of Tim Connolly's work. That one season they won the championship, and he just kind of sat back and chilled and just wasn't passing. You're telling me you couldn't get Dyson Daniels for like a second round pick? Instead, you could have gotten Dyson Daniels from New Orleans for 3 second round picks.
Wow.
What did you decide to do instead? You gave 3 second round picks and Reggie Jackson to Charlotte.
Yeah.
I don't like GMs like that. I need ambition. When you have one of the best players of all time on your team and he's in his prime, and you're in a stacked Western Conference with teams like the Thunder. The Lakers just got Luka Doncic. They're going to be building. You got teams like Houston who are on the come up. The Warriors are still relevant. The Timberwolves have built themselves a really good team. You need to be aggressive, man. I just don't understand why you think you see Jokic doing everything and you think that's fine. No. There's a clear difference between the team that won the championship and the teams that didn't. And, that's why I said this is a big test for the Knicks because off the bench in 2023, you had Bruce Brown, you had Jeff Green, and you had Christian Brown. You had Russell Westbrook this year consistently. Peyton Watson didn't get consistent minutes in the playoffs because he was either okay or he was a total net negative. So not having a bench, for example, is a major mishap from Calvin Booth. And the way this roster's structured and the way the new CBA works, teams are afraid of going over the apron.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, here's what I think. I think you need some players because here, look back onto the season where the Nuggets won the finals.
Yeah.
All right. So they had Jokic, and obviously the offense was ran through Jokic. But you had other guys on that team that were not afraid to step up when the moment called for them to step up. And what do we see this year in the playoffs? We saw players that were afraid to step up when the moment called for them to step up.
Yep.
And that's why you saw them passing it to Jokic. And that's why OKC was able to triple team Jokic because they knew it was going to happen. They were going to pass the ball to Jokic every single time. Therefore, they lost the game.
Yeah.
Because they were afraid to step up when the moment called for them to step up. So you need players that are confident enough to say, no, I'm not going to actually pass you the ball here, Jokic. I'm going to get a bucket of my own, or I'm going to create for my teammates around me. Like, that's what you need. You need players like that to give Jokic a break here and there. When Jamal Murray's not really feeling himself, he was literally sick the day before, and then he was probably tired as well. So you need that other player to come and step up when the moment calls for him to step up. And I didn't really see that from the Nuggets, especially in Game 7. I didn't see it. I mean, I saw a little glimpse of it from Julian Strawther, who had an outstanding Game 6.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
He has a little bit of that. Maybe there's something to that. Maybe he might be able to fill that MPJ role a little bit. Maybe we'll see.
Yeah. I don't know.
But they need more of that.
And that's the problem because that team in 2023 was so perfectly constructed.
It was.
And they didn't replace them. That's really the main thing because there was a lot of games, even throughout his entire tenure in Denver. Michael Porter barely closed games in the playoffs in 2023.
Yeah.
Bruce Brown stepped up.
Yes.
And not only was a great point of attack defender, but he could shoot. His three balls improved so much. Even when he was in Brooklyn, he looked great.
Yeah.
And, now you don't have that anymore. Jeff Green was a stretch 4/5. Again, he's a veteran. You just don't have that anymore. Peyton Watson's nowhere near the experience level of Jeff Green, nowhere near the shooter of Jeff Green. Better defender, give him that. But, you got it. The Nuggets' problem this season was both ends of the floor. And if you're not shooting the ball well on offense, you're going to be pouting, slouching. It's going to affect your defensive game.
Yeah.
And Christian Brown seems to be the only guy that actually had the balls to step up this entire playoffs. And, I commend him for that because in Game 7, he came to play. He came to play in most games this playoffs for them. And, that was one of the things I was looking for him specifically because against the Lakers last season and the year before, he was unplayable.
Yeah.
And this year, he looked much, much more comfortable in that starting spot. But you need someone behind him because he was the energy off the bench.
Yeah.
And, you're missing that because – yes, Russell Westbrook can provide an impact. He could also completely kill your momentum. And you need someone else on the bench to make up for that, and they just don't have it. So I'll flip the question on to you, Gio. Who should the Nuggets trade for? There's a lot of options.
Wow.
And I guess I'll follow that up with, should they just trade Michael Porter Jr., or should Jamal Murray also be on the trade block?
I think Zeke Naji goes in any trade as well. You clear money out.
I'm talking about main starter guys.
Yeah.
If you're really trying to ramp up this roster.
I have a Reddit thread open of just a lot of trades that people are making with MPJ.
Oh, yeah?
Some of them are just playing off ridiculous. Some of them are actually, interesting. Everybody was saying Levine was the ideal target, but now he's in Sacramento.
What do you think about that?
I feel like Denver needs a guy that can perform in the playoffs. I don't like these what-if scenarios of guys that either have only played in round one or someone like Jaylen Brown.
Ooh.
For example, the Celtics need to get off that contract if they're trying to long-term make this work with Tatum.
So who would the Nuggets give up?
It would obviously be MPJ.
And?
It would most likely, you'd probably have to sacrifice Christian Brown. Depends on how much money he's going to make. But
they would probably want Aaron Gordon.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. Just based off of Aaron Gordon's 28, 29.
Christian Brown's what, 24?
He's an older rookie. He went 3 years at Kansas. So he's probably 25 as well.
Okay.
But, I think there's a way for that to work. And maybe the Celtics could flip MPJ or Murray or whoever, but like someone of that nature, someone like him, someone like Kevin Durant, someone that's like proven in the playoffs.
A lot of people I'm seeing on Reddit is KD and Jeremy Grant.
I mean, he was a nugget in the bubble, if you remember.
Ooh, I like
that.
it.
Yeah, Jeremy Grant was good for them.
I like Jeremy Grant.
But, Jeremy Grant hasn't played meaningful basketball in God knows how long.
Yeah.
So
It may have been when he was in the bubble with the Nuggets.
I think that's the last time.
There is some Paul George.
PG.
Oh, God.
There is some Paul George.
Who else?
I'm trying to think off the top of my head who else could be moved.
That wouldn't work.
There's really
Devin
not.
Booker, did I just see?
Yeah, that wouldn't work.
Yeah.
That would not work. RJ Barrett.
Interesting.
That would be an interesting on the cheap end of the deal. But I feel like if you have Jokic on your team, you need to be aggressive. And honestly, I wouldn't mind if Denver just traded Michael Porter for depth pieces instead of going for a star.
Right.
People are saying Wiggins,
No.
Laurie Markkinen, Cam Johnson.
I'm not against.
I think at that point,
Cam Johnson would be good.
At that point, I'd rather just use the $36 million to get a good shooter, a good defense, like get depth pieces.
Right.
That's what I'd rather see. Like when Atlanta traded DeJounte Murray, they got back Dyson Daniels, Larry Nance Jr., and I forgot who the other guy was. But you got a good stretch five. You have the best defender in the NBA, and you have I forgot who the third guy was. I'm sorry, whoever that was. But you tick off multiple problems that you don't have. Kind of like what OKC did, where it wasn't all in one move, but they got their point of attack guy in Caruso. They signed Isaiah Hartenstein to help with the rebounding. That's what they kind of need to do. And I feel like that's what they should do with Michael Porter's contract. Use Jamal. If you're going to trade Jamal Murray, that's when you go get the star player.
Got it.
Someone, I think this one is quite interesting. PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford for MPJ.
I mean, Daniel Gafford
He'll be a free agent.
Daniel Gafford wants to play starter minutes. You're not starting on the Nuggets. There's no shot.
I'm seeing a lot of Jeremy Grant, a lot of Norman Powell's there. No,
I would actually like Jeremy Grant.
yeah, I'm seeing a lot of Jeremy Grant.
I would like Jeremy.
Would
Grant.
Denver want to do that again, though? I'm just not sure.
I'm seeing a
I
lot
saw
of.
there's a Sports Illustrated article the other day saying Zion Williamson trade Denver.
I
Nuggets
saw
must consider.
Zion was there too. I saw that as well, but
That's
not a
too
lot.
risky.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of Jeremy
about-
Grant.
I was gonna say Bradley Beal, but no.
No.
I'm seeing a lot of
You
KD.
need to rinse your mouth out with soap after that, bro. That's like a swear word.
There are some crazy.
What about like
ones.
Norman Powell?
They're not trading him to Denver.
There are some crazy ones here with Steph going to the Nuggets.
I saw that.
I've seen a lot of Jeremy Grant. That's literally what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Denny Avdia, that'd be cool.
They're not getting rid of him.
DeRozan.
It needs to be a vet that is on the trade block. So basically, you're looking at Jeremy Grant, you're looking at Kevin Durant, you're looking at Jaylen Brown in some crazy circumstance.
Desmond Bane.
That could also work.
Desmond Bane could easily get moved.
I just don't know if he'd fit that system.
I think he would. Desmond, he can shoot. He can shoot it.
That is true.
MPJ, I'm sorry, but he has not had a good season shooting overall.
Yeah, and obviously the playoffs he's been hurt. So.
Yeah, but still, he's had a bad season shooting anyways.
Another one is Miles Bridges.
Oh God, I saw that on Twitter today. Nuggets fans, I think they'd stop rooting for the team if they signed Miles Bridges or traded for Miles Bridges.
That's a big man that's very flashy. So
He's not a big man. He's a wing.
Yeah, he's like
Okay.
a wing. Wing
He's
big.
like a wing. I still think.
What about Mikal Bridges?
Imagine.
I'll take that.
Imagine that would have worked actually like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
But I think you need to go big or go home. I think
Jordan Poole.
I think you need to inquire about. I think you have to inquire about Jaylen Brown.
I think so too. That's number one.
I think that's what you absolutely need. If
But
you,
I wouldn't be mad at Jordan Poole.
they need a forward. Enough of the guards. They have Murray and they have Brown. They're fine.
Well, I said Cam Johnson, Jeremy Grant.
I say Cam Johnson or Jeremy Grant. Done.
Yeah.
Either one of those
But
guys.
I still feel like they need to really go big.
Or Jaylen
here.
Brown.
Or like I said, go for the depth pieces. There's no reason why they shouldn't call New Orleans up and see how much for Herb Jones. There's no reason why.
Ooh, that's another injury problem though.
But like I said, when you're off the Pelicans, you're healthy.
That's
So it's
true.
possible.
That would be nice. Or Trey Murphy. Either or.
I think he's about to sign an extension, or he just signed. So he's not getting moved.
Okay.
So they're committed to him. I think Herb Jones is more apt to get traded, but with Denver, there's really so many options that they can go with. And at the end of the day, it's just a matter of what do the Cronkies want to do? What are they going to do about David Adelman? What are they going to do about their GM position that's open? Whoever comes into these positions, that's who's going to dictate
exactly
what happens.
Yeah, whoever the GM comes in, I want to see like what like his.
They
philosophy
might as well
is.
just promote their assistant. I forget his name, but he's probably going to wind up getting the job, which will probably be the worst case scenario for them. But we'll just have to see going forward.
Yeah.
So, Gio, I'll ask you one more question. Ceiling for Denver next season, what are we saying?
Oh, man. A lot could happen, but to keep it safe, I'm going to say Denver is going to be a top. I'm going to say they're a top 3 seed.
Top 3?
Yeah.
I'm
the
going
West.
to say top 5.
Top 5.
Yeah.
I would say top 5. Same thing.
Yeah.
So his name's Tommy Balcetis.
No, it was someone else that I forgot his name, but it was someone about like getting the Nuggets GM job. Let me actually quickly look up before we move on to the main segment.
I don't know.
I don't remember his name. Because obviously there's names like Bob Myers that are on the
Ben Tenzer.
I think that was who it was.
He's the vice president of basketball ops.
Okay, yeah. So he'll just move into the president. Organizations are starting to shy away from general managers and do the president. So
yeah.
Do we have any final thoughts regarding the Denver Nuggets?
No.
I think we're
Let's
good.
move on.
Into the main segment we go, lads. As you can tell by the title and the thumbnail, we're going to be giving you guys our top 20 players that are left in the conference finals. These are the guys that have, one, made the most impact, two, have just played the best. And, the criteria can range anywhere from that to just who's been the best player all year, everything of that nature. So I don't think we really put any projections in here. I think it's just pretty, straightforward shots of who we have on our lists. So basically what we're going to do, we're going to go in blocks of 5. One person is going to headline the segment, then we'll roll in the other person's, and if there's any disagreements or anything, we'll call each other out, and we'll have some good old-fashioned debate, which is Gio's favorite.
Love it.
So, guys, do we have any sort of questions, comments, concerns, anything you want to say before we get on started?
No, let's go.
Let's roll.
All right, so on the screen right now, our old faithful is Caruso freaking Davis.
We don't see him.
This guy is an absolute legend. That's because it's going to be in the post edit.
Oh, okay.
So you're going to see Caruso Davis. He'll be on the screen. Say hi to him. If you guys are still with the flow of the video, obviously Gio will give you the word at the end of the show. But also just say what's up to Caruso Davis in the comments. That's where we know who the real ones are. So we're going to start with 20 to 15, or 20 to 16, sorry. Anthony, you are headlining this segment. So why don't you tell the lovely audience at home, who do you have first?
Wow. What a list, Gio, right?
Doing
This is a terrible list, bro. You're such a hater.
All right,
Oh my
so
gosh.
Mikhail just squeaks in the top 20 at 20. Lou Dort at 19. Alex Caruso at 18. Naz Reid at 17.
Wow.
Andrew Nemhard at 16.
The disrespect.
To who?
Alex Caruso. Diabolical.
He's been, I don't know, you don't know ball
There
or
were
something?
so many other players that are above him.
Dude, you haven't been watching.
I have been watching.
All right. Yeah.
Thunder don't win that series without Alex Caruso.
100% they don't.
All right.
Defense and offense was
Yeah.
outstanding.
I've been trying to tell you all year. I'm glad you're starting to come around. That
No, it's only
they-
because in the beginning, in the regular season, he wasn't getting any minutes.
But that's not what they traded him for.
I guess you're right. I mean,
But listen,
playoff
Playoff
time.
dominant.
Yeah.
But it's not just about the playoffs.
But this is what we're in the playoffs right
But
now.
I understand that. But, you got to show up in the whole regular season.
Dude, the whole segment is we're ranking the best players in the playoffs.
All right, Gio. Let's
Yeah.
get to your list.
That's
See
the
what you have.
segment.
That's
You want to
lit-
get to mine?
Yeah. Well, hold on. We're not done. We're not done.
Yeah, we're not done with you, bro.
We're not done with this yet.
Why are you're kind of low on Mikal Bridges? I feel like he's been a little bit better than Lou Dort. I feel like he's been a little bit better than Nemhard as well.
As well.
As well.
As well.
But yeah.
I'm just going
so.
off of Mikhail for showing up in the first 3 quarters of the game. Not there. Just for the fourth. The fourth gets him in the top 20.
The inconsistency. I mean, yeah, he has some really bad games,
Yeah.
especially against Detroit, that just
Yeah.
weren't good.
Okay.
And then I feel like those two
Boston series was good for him.
those two isolated plays in the fourth quarter in the Boston series obviously were so helpful. But, I think as a whole, he's left a lot to be desired. And I think what everyone's praising him for has been the basic stuff that he's needed to do all year, and he just hasn't.
Well, he's doing
So-
it now.
Right, but it's kind of sad that we're praising just the normal stuff that we expected to see.
Yeah.
Like, we even saw this in Brooklyn in the regular season, and it was like a half-ass level of it, if that makes any sense. Like, he still has not looked the same since Phoenix in that 1 month stretch of games he had with us.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we're starting to see Phoenix Mikal Bridges.
You think
Not yet.
you think this is anywhere near what we saw in 2021?
I think it's near. I don't think it's.
No,
I don't think he's 100% there.
Phoenix McHale is on a whole into the stratosphere for his standards in his game. I mean, he was great. I mean, he was the best role player in the NBA as soon as the Nets went out in 2021, and he kind of kept that until he got traded. He was really good, and then Derek White kind of took the torch from him because he makes no sense. He's just ridiculous.
Yeah, he's crazy.
So, as far as the rest goes, I mean, yeah, Lou Dort, Naz Reid, and Andrew Nembhard, I feel like you could keep them where they are. I feel like they could go a little bit higher, if anything, because the two of them do step up when the playoffs come around. They are statistical risers. So, not too bad. Do you want to get into yours, Gio?
Get into mine.
All right, read away your 20 to 16.
Yeah. wait. First of all, should I read mine before you?
What the hell?
Yeah, read your 5. Wait, read your 5 first.
All right, listen. I got Lou Dort at 20. I got T.J. McConnell at 19. Benedict Mathurin at 18. Jaden McDaniels at 17. And Mikal Bridges at 16. Why did he just stick up his middle finger?
What the hell?
That's crazy.
What's wrong with
Jaden
this?
McDaniels is worse than Mikal Bridges?
I'm talking about this playoffs.
What?
I think he had a very bad series against the Warriors.
Yeah, but
And Mikal's better than McConnell and Mathurin and Lou Dort?
The series he had against the Lakers
Was outstanding.
was better than what Mikal Bridges has done this entire playoffs. He averaged like 28 and was guarding Luka Doncic.
He never.
I'm telling you right now, J-Max in my top 10.
I said 20.
J-Max in your top.
J-Max in my
Yeah.
top 10.
I said 20, Gio.
20.
20,
Okay.
yeah.
Average 20, and obviously his defense was great. I
Oh, his
understand
defense,
that.
phenomenal.
But in the Warriors series, he was nowhere to be found. Okay, he was shooting terribly, and you're going to see this in the next 5. Some other Wolves players that were supposed to be really good in the playoffs,
Well,
they kind of fell on my list because of the terrible series that they had against the Warriors, where you expected them to go crazy.
But this is where Julius Randle really came into his own against the Warriors.
And that's.
But Jaden McDaniels took the defensive assignments. Buddy Hield went nuclear in game 1.
Yeah.
And then when Steph got hurt, the assignment got switched on to him, and he didn't score a peep for the next 4 games.
Yeah.
So Jaden McDaniels is one of the most impactful players so far this postseason, easily without a doubt.
I think he falls. He falls on my list. I think Mikal Bridges has been more impactful.
I agree with you that he's not top 10, but he's definitely not bottom. He's definitely not bottom 5 on this.
Okay,
top
I
20.
understand. Maybe
He
I
should go
over.
he should be at least in the next tier.
I may have what's the word?
Over exaggerated.
Okay,
Yeah.
I may have over exaggerated or overreacted.
Overreacted.
To
hyperbole.
Yeah.
I am fine with Mathurin, McConnell, and Dort. No issues there. They were kind of on my cusp of that bottom 20.
Yeah.
TJ McConnell was just a cut for me.
Yeah,
Just
he
haven't
was.
seen last year's TJ McConnell.
Yeah, he would have made
He was so good last year. He would have made my top 10.
Oof.
But this year he's just not as good as he was, but he's still phenomenal.
Yeah.
He would if we did a top 25 or 30, he would have been 21st.
Yeah.
So, but shout out TJ, man.
Yeah.
That man's awesome.
So wait, for this list, is it just about so far who's the best, or
Could be a
who's the
mixture
best
of
going
anything.
into the next
Yeah,
series, or
Could be a mixture of anything.
a mixture of? Okay, so
Yeah.
I think my list is good.
I would swap.
McCall.
Definitely swap McHale and McDaniels.
Okay. That's.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't be mad at that, but I just still feel like Mikal has. They've both been very impactful.
Okay.
And I feel like the comeback for Mikal, where everyone doubted him and now he's proving people wrong in the playoffs, that just feels so good to me right now.
Okay.
That's fair.
And I'm happy for him. So I gave him the 16 spot.
Understandable.
Okay.
So, do you want to get to mine?
Yeah, let's see. What do you
All
got?
right. Here is my first 5. So in 20th, I have Lou Dort.
Wow.
19, Mikal Bridges. 18 is Josh Hart. 17 is Naz Reid. And 16th is OG Anunoby.
Wow.
All right. I am okay with this. OG and Josh Hart are kind of on my cusp in the next tier.
Kind of low.
No, they're kind of on my cusp. I think they're on the bottom 14, 15, 13, 12.
These 3 have been super inconsistent throughout the playoffs.
Which
Yeah.
ones?
OG, Josh Hart, and Mikal Bridges. That's the reason why
Yeah.
they're not higher. Cat and Brunson are have been the 2 consistent guys, especially
Josh Hart's been pretty consistent.
Well, no, I mean, Josh Hart will have a game where he'll drop 25 points, but he'll also have a game where he's doing nothing.
Here's the
Yeah.
thing. I think those guys in the Knicks, they step up when they need to.
No, but Josh Hart does a lot more than just scoring. That's
course.
why I think
Exactly,
he should be higher.
But OG and Mikal Bridges, they'll take turns on who's going to step up on which game.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's fine. You have that from players in other teams too.
I just think OG's just more of a reliable piece on the defensive end. That's why he's above Josh Hart. And Naz Reid's like one of the best bench players right now in the playoffs. So I couldn't put him below.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
So, my early cuts were like, I was really deciding between Lou Dort, TJ McConnell, and Kason Wallace.
Yeah.
And I also had Aaron Wiggins kind of in that mix as well because, bro saved basketball. And he also had a really good series against Denver. But just a miss for me.
Okay.
And then, I thought Mikal Bridges would have been either off my list or at 20, but I think, like you said, those two plays he had at the end of the first two games against Boston just vaulted him up just one spot.
I mean, his offense is coming alive too, but that's a whole nother.
Right.
You don't have to get into that.
Exactly. So,
all right.
Yeah, there's the first five. Let us know in the comments if you have any sort of gripes or qualms with it.
Yeah.
Ready to get into the next section?
Let's go.
All right, so this is going to be sections, 15 to 11.
Yeah.
Yep.
I am headlining this segment. Here are my picks. So in 15, I have Andrew Nemhard. 14th is Jalen Williams. 13th is Jaden McDaniels. 12th is Aaron Nesmith. And 11th is Gio's favorite player of all time, Rudy Gobert.
Okay, I don't have any issues with this here. I feel like Nemhard's properly ranked. Nesmith is high on my list like he is for Tyler. J-Mac is around the same. I put him. Gobert, I think, is 11. Like I put Gobert at 11 too, I think. J-Dub, I think I had a little higher. I think I'm high on J-Dub going into the last two series if they do make the finals.
Yeah, I'm low on J-Dub right now.
I know. Yeah.
I like J-Mac and Nesmith. Like Nesmith has been shooting insane from the corner, and he's guarding the best player. I tried to make a case for him for top 10, but Rudy's been obscenely good this playoffs, and whoever I have in my top 10 has just been more consistent all around.
Yeah.
But
so this is Jalen Williams, J-Dub, right?
yes.
Not Jay.
Yeah, Jay Will's not in my
He's
top.
not. Okay,
Jay Will's
good,
no.
good.
He would have made my top 30, but
Yeah.
definitely not top 20.
Yeah, I don't have any issues here. I understand the J-Dub. McDaniels has not been scoring 30-plus so far, but the defense is notable. Nesmith's been putting up great numbers.
Yeah.
I don't have any qualms with it at all.
Yeah, not bad. I always seem to have pretty like standard rankings.
You do.
Yeah.
You do.
So, you're ready to get into the crazy one now.
Yeah.
This is Anthony's ranking. So, Anthony, give us your 15 to 11.
Wow.
Not that crazy, actually.
And it's not crazy.
Yeah, not at all.
Yeah,
You'll see mine, though.
Nesmith at 15. I do think Josh Hart and OG Anunoby have a lot more to offer than Aaron Nesmith does. That's why they're higher.
Yeah.
J-Dub, I'm high on him. I think that's a star in the making. He's better.
Just read your 15 to 11.
Oh yeah, maybe. So Aaron Nesmith at 15, Josh Hart at 14, OG Anunoby at 13, J-Dub, Jalen Williams at 12, and Rudy Gobert at 11. I'm a lot higher on J-Dub than Tyler. I think he's gonna showcase a lot. He's a superstar in the making.
It's only two spots. It's not like it's
it's only two
whole
spots.
tier.
And then OG and Hart, I said, were at my next tier, but lower than 11 and 12.
Yeah.
They're right next to each other, and that's kind of how it rolls. I think OG and Hart have more to offer than Nesmith does at the current moment in time. Nesmith could easily hop over Hart. OG depends, but J-Dub and Rudy Gobert are on the top of the list for me.
Yeah, that's where I disagree. I think Aaron Nesmith has actually been one of the more consistent guys this postseason. The fact that he is shooting, I think he was shooting, I don't remember if it was like 64% from the corner.
Wow.
And he's guarding the best player on the other team. He was guarding Giannis. He just was guarding Donovan Mitchell the entire series, or he was either guarding him or he was guarding like Mobley at times. Like he was really kind of mixing up his defensive matchups, and he's been one of the more improved players the NBA's seen in the past like half decade.
Yeah.
It's been really impressive to watch. And he's no longer the paperclip that the Celtics got from Malcolm Brogdon.
Yeah, so. I was surprised they moved on from him quickly because he was kind of a staple in their rotation for a while.
He needed to win now. Yeah. So, and he wasn't going to provide that to you. He's just starting to play good at this current moment.
Yeah.
So.
All right. G, what do you got?
Ready to get into yours, Gio?
Go for it.
Read away, my friend.
So I got Naz Reid at 15, Alex Caruso at 14, Rudy Gobert at 13, Josh Hart at 12, and Miles Turner at 11.
Gio, Miles Turner should be top 10.
Yeah, Miles Turner should unequivocally be top 10.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I understand that. I just feel like there are other guys.
You put OG in your top 10?
You'll see.
That's crazy.
That is insane.
That's diabolical.
As a Knicks fan, that is insane.
You're not a Knicks fan.
Okay, I am a Knicks fan.
You're a fake Knicks
fan. That is insane.
I understand.
It is pretty insane.
I understand why that you think that might be insane, but I just feel like OG has I feel like he's has more of a role on this team in terms of defense and offense. Like, he's more of a two-way player than Miles Turner is. And I think if the Knicks want to win, he needs to step up more.
And that's the thing. Miles Turner's already been the one stepping up.
I understand
on
that.
both ends of the floor.
Okay. I see.
So that's where
I get it.
I mean, it's not bad, Gio.
I may have a little bias then.
As long as you didn't swap Nasri to Miles Turner, like, that's bad.
Yeah.
But Miles Turner being top at 11, I have no issues there. It's right on the cusp.
Do you have Alex Caruso?
Caruso is 18th. He has Caruso in his top 10.
I think Caruso deserves to be top 10.
Oh, yeah.
Understandably. But, yeah, Josh Hart, I put him pretty high because I feel like Josh Hart, like you say all the time, he's the heart, he's the engine.
I agree with you.
He makes the Knicks go. So
yeah, Rudy at 13, I'm not. That's fine. That's 2 spots from us. Nasri, again, same thing, around the same area.
I'm honestly surprised he put him this high.
Rudy?
No, he has to be high. He has to be.
I'm not going to be like
He has to be
super
there.
biased. You know what I mean? So
I mean, this is some of the best basketball he's ever played.
I wouldn't say all that.
No, it has. It has.
Since his Utah days. Like, this is the best on Minnesota he's played.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Utah days, he was incredible. But as far as Minnesota, this is the best we've seen in this era of Rudith Gobert basketball.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, I would swap Caruso and Hart at the very least.
You know what? You're right. I think I would do that too.
Yeah. Or you should,
further consideration.
Or for your list, just swap Caruso and OG. Put Caruso in your top 10.
I'm not going to lie. This was sort of a last-minute list I threw together.
That's fair.
Because I was literally coming out of work and I had to, like...
It's not bad.
It's honestly not bad.
It's not bad.
I don't hate it.
No.
Yeah. I also kind of did mine last minute.
Yeah.
So, but it's okay.
Okay.
Life happens, and, you know, we kind of move along from there. But
All right, let's go top 10.
yeah, let's get into the top 10. So I feel like we'll have a little bit more heated debates in this section just because
We'll see.
we're getting into the better players. This could draw up some controversies and stuff like that. Gio, you were headlining this section.
Mm-hmm.
So read away your 10 through 6.
Yeah, so I got Chet Williams. Chet Williams. Chet Holmgren at number 10. Jalen Williams at number 9. OG at number 8. OG Anunoby, right?
Yep.
Pascal Siakam at 7. And Tyrese Halliburton at 6.
Okay.
Let's hear it.
I would swap Chet and OG. That's the only thing I would do.
No.
Maybe move Chet up and then OG down, J-Dub down to Chet.
If I'm being honest, OG should be out of my top 10.
Yes.
If I'm being honest.
Swap.
Yeah.
I would swap.
I think Chet stays at 10.
I would swap OG and Miles Turner.
I agree with that.
Or Alex Caruso.
I agree.
Whichever one you want to do works.
Probably Alex. I like Alex a lot.
But
Yeah. I don't have anything
Looking at my
wrong
list
here.
again, I would definitely swap OG and Caruso or Turner. Either one works. And even Jalen Williams or Turner. Either one of those works because J-Dub didn't have a good series, this past series against the Nuggets. But I think he needs to have a good series, and just for that reason, that's why I kind of snuck him into my top 10.
putting the pressure on.
Yeah, I guess I'm putting the pressure on him.
It's
But
understandable.
yeah, other than that, what do you guys think about Tyrese Halliburton being out of top 5?
He's at 6. That's fine.
Yeah, I mean, if you were going to put him outside the top 5, 6 is fine, but he should be top 5.
Yeah, I don't have any
At the
issues
very
with that.
worst, he should be at least 5th.
Yeah.
So I do disagree, but
I think I know who's in your top 5.
is what it is. So yeah, well, don't spoil it for the viewers.
Yeah.
But yeah, not so bad. Your 8 and 9's kind of ass. I'm not gonna lie. I would swap OG and J-Dub for Miles Turner and Alex Caruso probably, or something.
I agree with that. Honestly, I do.
So, but it's okay.
right.
Yeah.
You did what it. I like the Siakam placement too. So you want to get into mine?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
All right. Here is my 10 through 6. So I have Chet Holmgren in 10th, Miles Turner at 9, Alex Caruso at 8, Karl Anthony Towns at 7, and Pascal Siakam in 6th.
No. Cat is top 5.
Yeah,
That
Cat
is
has-
blasphemy.
I just have not seen the good enough clutch time play from Karl Anthony Towns to put him in my top 5.
But we don't need it. That's Jalen Brunson's
Right.
job.
That's true.
But still, maybe you wouldn't be in those situations if Cat just played better in the second half.
But Knicks fans are not relying on Cat for clutch time.
But you're not going to get away with that in the conference finals and the NBA finals. Cat needs to be better. And this was the series last year where he played like garbage.
I don't know. But
Dude, Cat's definitely top 5.
No, Cat is top 5, and he's over Pascal any day of the week.
Yeah.
I liked what I've seen from Pascal Siakam in both series.
Me
on
too,
both
but-
ends.
No.
He's not Karl Anthony Towns. I'll
So,
tell you that.
He was never touching my top 5. It was really more of a debate: do I put him above or below Siakam?
Yeah.
So it was really a 6 or 7.
Siakam is great. He's in my top. I think he's 6 like you have. But no, Cat's above Siakam for me every day. I'm a biased Knicks fan, but even if it's not biased, if he's on Minnesota,
You're actually not biased. But.
He's biased against his team, I guess.
But
if you will.
Yeah.
But as far as second option, like if Cat played like in the first half, if he played like he did in the first half in the second half, he would unequivocally be in my top 5. I just don't like what I see in the clutch time from him.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah. Because of the foul trouble, too.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's probably mostly because of that, but it's also because Jalen Brunson just takes over and goes God mode.
Right, he does, and that's why Brunson's in my top 5. But I just feel like I think Cat needs to be better in the crunch time, and I think if he's not, then the Knicks are not winning a championship.
Okay,
it really comes down to him.
I think I have Chet and Turner in the same spot. I don't know. Caruso, he was 18 because I thought all the guys, but Caruso should be higher for me.
Yeah, the Thunder are home right now if they don't have Alex Caruso.
Yeah, Caruso should have been probably a little, maybe above Neesmith. I would have swapped whoever had at 14 with the 18th. I forgot who it was.
I mean, that's fair.
But yeah, okay, that's fine.
Want to get into yours?
Yeah, let's go.
All right, Antoine, read your next one. I don't know why it switched on me.
Why did it switch?
It switched.
Yeah, I had a formatting error. I'll fix that.
Okay, yeah. So Tyler had Chet at 10th, like I do. I have Chet at 10th, Miles Turner at 9.
Jaden McDaniels.
Jaden McDaniels at 8, Randall at 7, and Spicy P at 6.
All right. Why the hell is Julius Randle in 7th?
Because he's not top 5.
He's definitely top 5.
Nope.
He's definitely top 5.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Nope.
That might be worse than your Caruso placement. I'm not even going to lie.
Yeah,
No.
Julius Randle's
The only I would only move him up to 6.
No.
That's literally where it ends.
He's the only reason why they beat the Warriors, bro.
Yeah.
If he wasn't going off, honestly, I don't know if they win that series, which is sad to say.
I mean, if we're being realistic here, I'd move him up to 5 and then move Spicy P down to 7 like you have and Tyrese to 6.
Yeah.
That's the highest I would go.
Okay. Understandable.
That's fine.
But, yeah, no, that's crazy.
I'm high on Spicy P and highly more for their purpose in the playoffs than Randall. But Randall is, I mean, OKC's up right now by 10.
Yeah, that's because OKC's got a better team around them.
Yeah.
But
but Randall, he's been doing great. I just thought Spicy P and Hallie are a little more.
No.
I think Randall's been better than both Spicy P and Cat. So
I don't know. Cat.
That's close. You'll see in my list how close that is.
Yeah.
But I would move. The highest I would move up is to 5. I would move Spicy P down entirely like he has.
Did you see what Draymond Green said about Julius Randle?
Yeah.
Like,
had no answers for him.
He couldn't do anything, and that's your defensive player of the year.
Draymond's also 35 years old.
Yeah, but still, that was people's defensive player of the year, and he couldn't do anything with Julius Randle.
This is a guy that notoriously dropped in the playoffs.
Right.
The Knicks were the problem, baby. Ooh. Let's go.
I don't know. We'll have to see in the series.
We will.
No, Randall. I love
Randall's playing phenomenal right now.
I love the Renaissance. If you want to redo the list, I'll put him up to 5.
No, it's fine.
I'd put Spicy because I was.
No, you got to stand on business, bro.
I was debating the 5, 6, and 7.
Yeah.
It was just how I put it down.
That's okay.
Fair.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess we all just kind of disagreed with our 7th places except Gio. Because Siakam's fine there. It's really doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
So we're ready to get into the top 5.
Let's go.
Yeah.
All right. So these are the 5 best players in the playoffs so far. You should know at home who we all have, but we're going to save the suspense for the video's sake. Antoine, you are headlining this. Read off your top 5 players.
All right. So 5, we just said it. Tyrese Halliburton. 4 is Karl-Anthony Towns. 3 is Jalen Brunson. 2 is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And 1 is my favorite player right now in the NBA. It's Anthony Edwards.
Interesting.
I don't know if I would put AE at number 1.
I don't think I would either.
Oh.
He's close.
I think he definitely has the potential to be number 1. And I think maybe if he has a good series here, he'll definitely be number 1. But I don't think I will do that after the Warriors series.
He played great against the Lakers.
Very good against the Lakers.
I don't want to let recency bias completely sway my opinion.
Oh, but it has to do.
Not really.
Yeah.
You
have to weigh both series into play.
But like certain matchups will make you better. Certain matchups will make you work a lot more. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. But
I do have Anthony Edwards bias, but I think he's generally the better player than Shai. That's just my opinion. Even though Shai's MVP.
It's tough.
Yeah, it's hard for me to agree with that. Based on the way Shai played against, like, we all know Denver's defense is not great, but they definitely made him work.
Yeah,
and that's kind of what it is. Kind of like how Jalen Brunson really struggled when guarded by Asar, but when you're guarded by whoever else in Detroit, he thrived. And that's kind of what it is. Like certain matchups will give you a better statistical output rather than the guys that you're like Jalen Williams in Game 7 when Aaron Gordon wasn't guarding him.
Yeah.
That was the perfect example I was trying to find. But I don't really hate this top 5.
I don't hate it.
I just think you kind of mixed up the order a little bit for my liking.
Yeah.
So, not too bad. Ready to get into yours, Gio?
Let's go.
All right, read off your top 5.
So I got Julius
I
Randle.
love this list.
So I got Julius Randle in my top 5 at number 5, Karl Anthony Towns at 4, Anthony Edwards at 3, SGA at 2, and Jalen Brunson at number 1.
Gio clearly watched Stephen A. Smith's video today before he made this list.
Really? What did he say?
Because he put Jalen Brunson as the best player in the playoffs right now.
Well, yeah, it's pretty much.
No.
I think that's pretty obvious.
It's not. It's Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
Nah.
It's not. There's not even. It's not even close.
There is
really
some.
not.
There
It's
is
not even
some.
close.
There is some truth
You know,
to his
SGA
number
had
one.
a great series against the Nuggets. You know that, right?
The playmaking leap that Shea took in this series was outstanding.
Bro,
Of that end alone, and
You know what that
defensively.
means? All that means is
but-
that he couldn't get a shot.
Yeah, but
so
that-
he had to pass the ball. That's all that means.
But that's what Anthony Edwards struggled with last year, and he continues to struggle with this year.
Well, that's why I have SGA over Anthony Edwards.
Exactly, but SGA is better than Jalen Brunson. Especially
Obviously,
in the
he's the
playoffs.
better player. I'm talking about this playoff.
I still think-
Jalen Brunson is better.
Jalen Brunson has barely showed up in all 4 quarters of every game.
Bruh.
That first
Don't
half
do
gimmick
that
against
to him,
no,
bro.
it's the truth.
Can we go to averages? Because bro is averaging 30.
He's averaging
What is-
28.
What is SGA doing? He's averaging, what, 26 maybe?
With 10 or 15 free throws a night.
Exactly.
That's the main difference. Brunson does not take the free throws.
Exactly.
He actually plays the game. I see that. That's a good point, Gio.
This is what
I
look,
understand that.
I'm talking about SGA obviously is the better player, and I would want SGA over Jalen Brunson if I was starting a team.
SGA is averaging 29, 6, and 6.
Okay, but that's also from the previous series. I'm sorry, recency bias is
No,
a
this
real
is
thing.
the entire playoffs.
I know, but that's from the previous series that carried him into this the Nuggets series, where he actually didn't have the best stats, and he didn't have the best shooting percentages as well. I feel like Jalen Brunson is the sole reason why the Knicks are winning. Let me finish my point.
Okay.
Jalen Brunson is the sole reason why the Knicks are winning. SGA is not the sole reason why the OKC Thunder are winning. That's what I'm going to say.
So do you want the stats against Denver? Is that what you're looking for?
Go for it.
He's averaging just under 30, 29.8, 6.5 assists and 6 rebounds.
On what shooting?
His 3-point percentage is awful. Yeah. I'll tell you that. Brunson is a lot higher.
SGA is not a 3-point shooter. He takes the mid-range a lot.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find the shooting percentages.
Using the eye test though, because I did watch every single game. The eye test.
He shot 53% from the field.
Okay, but going
using
based off the eye test, it didn't feel like a good series from SGA, and the eye test for Jalen. Maybe that's because in the fourth quarter, Jalen Brunson would go crazy.
Well, the other thing too is that the Nuggets were consistently making him work. The Celtics just fell apart in the fourth quarter on their own accord, really, in a lot of these games. And Jason Tatum didn't.
Can you just
play
give
into
bro
it.
his credit?
I'm giving bro his credit, but he's not the best player in the playoffs. Are you kidding me?
He definitely is.
No, that is the most.
You're just a
delusional
Knicks
take.
hater, bro.
No, he's not the best player in the playoffs.
Yes.
It's comfortably Shea, and it's not even
not
close.
comfortably Shea.
Stephen A. got obliterated for saying that Jalen Brunson's the best player in the playoffs. It's not even a debate.
I mean,
I don't even like SGA, and I'm saying he's the best player in the
Bro,
playoffs.
SGA is the best player in the league.
No, he's not. He's not the best player in the league. That still belongs to
in
Jokic.
the Denver
He's the MVP of
series.
the.
In the Denver series, he probably only had like 2 games he shot really bad. Actually, 3.
Yeah,
The
he had a couple.
the other
few
4
really
were
bad
okay.
games. Like he was the reason why they lost type games.
But in the fourth,
Jalen Brunson hasn't had a game like that. Even when the Knicks lost, Brunson would still cook.
Wait,
this is what I'm saying.
Let me
look it up.
In the fourth quarter of Game 4 and Game 5 that swung the series in OKC's favor, SGA had outstanding fourth quarters.
I would say SGA was pretty mid until Game 7.
No.
So he showed up in Game 7.
Played well. He played great in Game 7, but he had a few really good games. Where
He had a few really good games.
35, yeah.
A really good Game 1. Jokic did better. And then a couple of games there, like Anthony just said, he shot terrible from the field.
The numbers are similar for Brunson as well. The first 2 games, it's like a little bad shooting. 9 of 21 and 9 of 23. It's pretty bad.
It's about 40.
It's like 50%. Yeah.
It's not
The
bad.
rest is okay. It's kind of even for calling it.
They're also both averaging 7 free throws per game in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Well, look, so at the end of the day, it's pretty even, except Jalen Brunson can take over a game in the fourth, and SGA hasn't proven that to me. That's why he gets the edge on my list.
I mean, he really doesn't need to because the team is so good enough that they just blow everyone out.
Brunson's Pistons series was really good. 30 points in every single game, but the game they lost,
he had 15.
Game 5.
Yeah.
Right.
That was it.
So, and that's the thing. When guarded by Asar Thompson, he shot like garbage from the field.
Yeah.
So when SGA was guarded by Christian Brown, it was the same thing. But when anyone else was on him, he would just cook. That's the thing with the Canadians. Their forearm strength is ridiculous, where they could just like push you off, and then you have an easy, it's an easy shot.
Yeah.
But for me, Brunson's definitely not 1. If you said 2, I would totally feel fine with that. But he's not 1.
Brunson's 1. They're very similar, like Anthony just said. Very similar statistics, very similar players in terms of their shooting volume and how they're carrying their teams. The only difference is Jalen Brunson comes alive in the fourth quarter and elevates his game. SGA hasn't really done that. I guess you could say he hasn't really needed to because of his team.
Yeah.
But then give the credit to Jalen Brunson because he has done it. He's stepped up.
What about the other end of the floor?
Defensively, it's a good point.
SGA is a much better defender than Jalen Brunson.
You're right.
I almost forgot to bring that up.
Defensive side of the ball.
You know ball, bro.
I know some ball.
This top 5, you know ball. No,
right, Tyler, get it?
Gio, realistically, Anthony Edwards is better than Jalen Brunson.
Well, obviously he's a better player, but this playoffs he hasn't played better than Jalen Brunson.
Okay.
It's just Jalen Brunson is a byproduct of how the Knicks are built. That there's really no one else that can step up in those situations. It has to be him.
Yeah.
And that's why.
Yeah.
That's why he's number 1 in the playoffs.
That's how the team is built.
That's how the team is.
That is how the team is poorly built, if you say.
Exactly.
But if they win the finals, they're not poorly built, bro.
I need to see. This is, like I said, this is their first test.
We'll see.
If they can beat a healthy team, I'll put my hands up and give them credit.
Okay.
So, because right now they haven't. And now they're the only team left without depth.
I'm curious to see where you have Halliburton.
You'll see. You ready to get into my top 5?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Here is my top 5. So in 5th place, I have Julius Randle. 4th is Tyrese Halliburton. 3rd is Jalen Brunson. 2nd is Anthony Edwards. And 1st is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Now, I won't lie. I tried to make a case to put Randle as high as 2. And then I just decided, I'm not going to let recency bias cloud my mind.
No.
5th place is where he belongs.
Yeah.
No.
But shout out Julius Randle, man. He's really proving me wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, I have no issues. SG and Anthony Edwards are interchangeable for me. Brunson 3 is as clear as day. Hallie over Randall. I mean, yeah. Cat is on my 4th, so Hallie would be down for me, but it's fine. I don't. There's no qualms with the list at all.
Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned before you get into GA, right? Like SGA right now in the playoffs is the best player left. I think there's a gap between him and 2, and then Anthony Edwards. I also agree is better than Jalen Brunson. We'll see what Anthony Edwards does in these clutch time scenarios now. And then Tyrese Halliburton, while he doesn't have the scoring output of the guys above him, his playmaking and the lack of turnovers is just insane. And his playmaking is also helping, Nembhard looks insane. Nesmith looks great. Turner looks great. And also Halliburton in the clutch in the playoffs is incredible.
Yeah, he's been good.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to not put him in my top 4. So
that's fair.
Yep, I don't have any issues with it at all. The top 5 is really interchangeable with the top 3 guys, and then the 4 and 5 we already know is on the cusp of what we have and everything else. It's very close.
what are your thoughts, Gio?
I mean, we kind of already talked about it. I mean, SGA being at number 1. I mean, I'm not against it. I think Jalen Brunson and SGA have been very similar players, right? We already discussed that.
They have similar tendencies.
But I'm curious at why you put Anthony Edwards over Jalen Brunson. I don't feel like he deserves that.
For me, again, I think it's more along the lines of Anthony Edwards is able to just put a team to bed really quickly. And yes, he has had some games where he's not shooting the greatest, but just I feel like that's most of. We're not seeing star players play at their tip-top game this year because teams are starting to just clog them up rather than letting the other guys, cook. And with Anthony Edwards, when that he's having heat checks left and right. His defense this postseason has been great.
Yeah.
And that's just something Jalen Brunson just doesn't have. And
I mean, I feel like now we're kind of underrating Jalen Brunson on the defensive side. He draws the most charges in the league.
But what else are you doing besides drawing charges? That only
He's a pretty solid post defender as well. Even though he's small, he's pretty stocky. He's strong.
Yeah.
So he can guard the post.
He's not like Halliburton's a cone on defense.
Yeah.
But like Brunson's not at the level of SGA or Anthony.
Well, he's not that type of athlete. But he's not. It's not like he's a bad defender. He's not a liability.
Not at all.
He's still a solid, average league defender.
Right. I would say I think he's an average defender, Jalen Brunson.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, no, he's not. That's not what he's known for.
yeah.
Not at all.
So, and I just think Anthony Edwards just consistently throughout a game is just better this postseason alone. And the fact that they're able to put these games to bed early. I think that's the thing. When a team gets into clutch time too much, you focus on the clutch time performances.
Yeah.
But you're not focusing on what got them to the clutch time.
You're right.
You know, like
That's
Jalen
fair.
Brunson should not allow his team to go down by 20 in the first half. Because eventually you're not going to come back from those at some point. It's not going to happen every single time. Kind of like the Nuggets. Last year they got comfortable, they tired themselves out, and then lost to Minnesota with all that stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what it is.
I mean,
I'm not mad at it.
right now, Rando's helping his case a lot. SGA is not. SGA is 9 of 26.
Yeah, his first game's
What?
feel,
9 of 26.
yeah, first game's a
26.
feel-out game. You're going up against one of the best defenses in the NBA. So
Yeah,
Still winning by 12.
They are. Yeah.
she is not playing great.
And Anthony Edwards only has 18. You know,
It's the fourth, right?
Rando has 26.
Randall's 26,
Yeah.
entering the fourth.
yeah.
Yeah, they're in the fourth right now.
So I didn't want to let that kind of crowd my mind, but yeah, Julius Randle, man, he's playing some obscenely good basketball. J-Dub and Jet have 15 apiece.
Yeah.
So it looks like OKC's probably going to win this game.
Yeah.
Which is we all kind of expected this to happen. I know Anthony switched up and had the Wolves going through. So
Yeah.
we'll have to just kind of see going from there.
Yeah.
But, you know, as far as the list goes, I don't really think there was any, like maybe there was a couple major misplacements.
Yeah.
Like an Alex Caruso, Julius
Yeah.
Randle debacle from a guy with glasses.
Yeah.
Bro,
both. Everyone wears glasses.
my list was pure bliss.
Really?
I definitely had a couple mishaps. on my
Pure
list. I
bliss.
was rushing, so cut me some
Well, like
slack.
I said, 5, 6, and 7 for me were pick and choose. Beat Caruso. I just thought everyone else ahead of him was a little better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Caruso should be a little higher.
There was
probably.
there was a clip from the game. SGA tripped over his own foot and they called a foul on Nickeil Alexander-Walker.
Whoa.
Flagrant 10, bro. That's unacceptable behavior from Naw. You cannot be doing that.
Yeah.
But
All
All right, that's it.
guys, do we have any sort of final thoughts regarding our lists?
No, I mean, I think we all had like the same players around like the bottom as well. Like some of them were interchangeable, some of them weren't. You know, Bather McConnell. You know,
Yeah.
they did. You know, if it was top 25, it would have been a little. We would have gotten those guys in. But it was
definitely,
good.
yeah.
It was fine.
We
We
would've-
had the same players.
We probably would have seen guys like Aaron Wiggins, Mike Conley.
Right.
Hartenstein was that out in
Hartenstein,
the top
yeah.
20s. Yeah.
There was some guys missing, especially starters. So
Yeah.
So yeah, that concludes our our top 20 players. Let us know down in the comments what you guys would do. Let us know your top 5. I think that's probably
Yeah.
easier for you to do. Who's your top 5 players in the playoffs? And let us know who had the best lists.
Yeah.
Because, that's good for bragging rights between the three of us. And
Yeah.
do you guys have any other questions, comments, concerns before we head into the outro?
No, let's roll.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of episode number 58 of the Floor Spacer podcast. Giovanni, you know what time it is.
Oh, yeah.
Those that are still with the flow of the video, what do they comment at home?
Comment. What are we commenting today?
First word that pops into your head.
Let's comment down Bible,
Bible.
because that's what Anthony should be reading.
This infomercial has gone on for too long. I'm tired of it.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Read your Bibles, guys.
Gio, people are not just
If you
Christian and
practice.
Look,
Catholic,
whether you're
right?
religious or not, it doesn't matter. It's a book at the end of the day. Read it. See what's in there.
Read
Okay,
about it.
It's the best-selling book of all time. So there you go.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, fair.
So yeah, comment down Bible, Bible.
There you go.
So obviously, we'll keep tabs on the conference final series this week, and maybe outside of our typical Monday streams, if there's a game 6 or 7, maybe we'll do a live watch along? Question mark?
Yeah.
We
I don't think there'll be a
potentially do
game
that.
6 or game 7 by next Monday.
Well, you know what I mean. Like by the time these series get to that point.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah.
So, but yeah, we'll be live again on Monday. We'll figure out something to talk about.
Yeah.
We'll probably cover the series and everything like that. We'll keep tabs on any news that happens throughout the association, everything of that nature. So if you guys did enjoy today's video, be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, get us to 6,000 subs by the end of the NBA Finals. Hit the bell, that way you're notified every time we upload, which is every day. Join the Discord server, which is in the link down below. We'll also put it in the pinned comment as well. If you're on Spotify audio platforms, give us 5 stars, answer the polls, leave a review. Follow our socials at Floor Spacer Pod on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all the usual suspects. We're close to 2K on Insta, so go follow us on there, get us up there. Follow our personal socials right here. Get Gio to 1 million Instagram followers. And guys, do we have anything else to say before we head on out of here for the week?
Everybody tunes in to the Knicks game tomorrow. It's going to be a show.
You mean 2 days ago?
Oh, yeah.
Or yesterday?
Yesterday. See, stop touching my phone.
Sorry.
Infomercial's been over for a long time.
Hopefully the Pacers put on an offensive masterclass.
Yeah. Nope. Hopefully they crap the bed.
Hopefully Mikal Bridges shoots 0 of 9.
Nope. I hope he drops 50 tomorrow. So then our short.
That's never happened.
I hope the short we recorded yesterday we can add Mikal Bridges to that 50-point performance for the playoffs.
We'll just have to see.
Or any other Knicks player.
We'll just have to see. I mean, he just spoiled the short because that's coming out the day after the pod. But
I'm such a loser.
Hey, look, you said it, not me. We hope you all enjoyed. Thank you all for watching. We love you all endlessly. And we'll see you all next week in episode number 59. Peace out.
Let's go to sleep.